All right, welcome everybody. Let's go ahead and get things started. So good to have you here with us. Thanks to everybody for logging in. And again, I know it's coming at you right after the holiday weekend. I hope that it found you doing well, and of course, celebrating. For those of you that we're celebrating Memorial Day with your loved ones. And with that, let's go ahead and dig into some introductions. I'm Owen Fuller. I'm the general manager of Lucidpress, and I'll kind of be the host and a moderator for the webinar. And of course, we work with many real estate brokerages across the United States and Canada and really across the entire world. And we know that people are going through a lot as we find our way through things in this post-COVID world. And part of that is learning to be a master of virtual real estate. And to help with that, we've brought on some experts and people that we love working with, who we have a ton of respect for, and we think it'll be great material for you to consider. Let me introduce our panelists. We've got Talia, who is the creative brand manager at Slifer, Smith & Frampton Real Estate. And then Marissa, who is the director of marketing and advisor services at Engel and Volkers, Honolulu. And I believe Marissa is still just having a little bit of trouble getting connected there from Hawaii. So we're going to go ahead and get started and trust that Marissa will join us soon. And while we're getting rolling, Talia.
Hi. Hey, everybody. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, tell us a little bit more about you. Tell us about your, maybe a little bit about yourself, where you're located, your team, and all that.
Yeah, so I live in the Vail Valley in a little mountain town called Engel, and it's about 20 minutes from Vail Mountain and Beaver Creek Mountain, if anyone's familiar with those areas. And I've been here ever since I graduated college 10 years ago. I went to the University of Alabama, and I'm originally from New Orleans, and I moved out here with my best friend, and we work at Slifer, Smith & Frampton Real Estate together still. And it's been just a trip. It's been a blast. The mountains are amazing. It's our home now, and there's no humidity, which is why I'm still here. It's really easy to live here. It's so beautiful. Our team at Slifer, our marketing team, is about 15 marketers, and we are throughout Eagle County, which is again the Vail Valley, Beaver Creek, Bachelor Gulch, all the way to Eagle, where I live. And then we also have Summit County, which is Breckenridge, Keystone, Silverthorne, Dillon, those mountain towns. And then we recently acquired a company in Aspen and the Roaring Fork Valley, which is Aspen, Glenwood Springs, and Basalt counties. And yeah, I work with the branding in all three regions and keeping it as consistent as possible. It's a challenge, but it is really fun, and it keeps me on my toes for sure. We have about 220 brokers as well. So that's a little something about me.
Thanks, Talia. Appreciate it. And I know Marissa will be joining shortly. While she's coming on, let me give a few little housekeeping notices. You'll see, and I'm sure all of you have been doing a lot of webinars, some of the functionality that you have access to here. Please do participate actively in the chat section. In fact, if you want to go ahead and share a little bit of introduction of yourself, where you're coming from. I already saw that we had some folks chiming in from different parts, including one from Pam Golding in South Africa. Great to have you with us wherever you're coming from. And if you'd like to go ahead and put in the chat a little bit about yourself as well, that'll help us as panelists know exactly who you are, and might help us field some of your questions as well. You're welcome to use the Q&A feature also. I would just tell my staff that the Q&A function is not opening for me properly, so if you could send those to me and the panelists via the chat function, we'll make sure that we're keeping track of things there. And then I want to announce a little $25 DoorDash giveaway. We do this at the webinars. It's something else to kind of sweeten the pot. We know the content is what you're here for, but we know everybody's trying to make things work as we figure out the ways to stay safe and keep our businesses growing. So we've got $25 DoorDash giveaways. At the end, we'll give away two to lucky webinar winners. You must be present to win. So we'll do that at the end of the webinar. And I believe that we've got a poll to get things started as well that also just help us get to know a little bit about you as we're digging into the content. And so we'll go ahead and launch that first poll. If my team could do that, that would be great. And this is the first poll for the audience. What's the greatest challenge your real estate team is facing right now? And we give a few options: finding listings in a low inventory market, adapting to technology trends, costly lead generation, cultivated in database. These are some of the things that we're hearing from people that we're working with regularly. Of course, on the other option, we know there's a lot of things people are dealing with that may not be listed here. Please feel free to send over some of the other big challenges that you're dealing with, and let's do it in the chat function. All right, and let's give people just a moment to vote, and then we'll check out the results. Okay, let's go ahead and close the poll, and let's see what the results are. Interesting to see the breakdown. So you can see the poll results here. There are people that are really trying to find ways to adapt to new technology trends and finding listings in a low inventory market. It's the top issues. And again, on the others, curious to hear what you guys are seeing. And with that, we will go back to introductions. It looks like we have with us Marissa from Honolulu.
Sorry.
Aloha, Marissa.
Hi, good morning. Hi, Talia. Hi, Owen.
Hey, great to have you with us. We've just done some brief introductions and made some announcements, so perfect timing to join us. And my question for you would be, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Kind of, we know, but for the audience, a little bit about you and what you're doing with Engel and Volkers Honolulu.
Sure, yeah. Actually, I'm from Toronto and moved to Hawaii 5 years ago. Came over as a marketing consultant for a local marketing company, and ended up kind of working my way into real estate as a niche. So this is my second big franchise I've worked with. What I really specialize in is taking these big concepts from national and international franchises and applying them to the local market and all the kind of challenges that come with that. We're so lucky to have so much support from Engel and Volkers and great resources, a really strong look, a really strong brand. But as everybody knows, that can be challenging too, because it can be sort of restricting. So that's where I've kind of found my niche and found a lot of value I can add to these local companies.
Thanks, Marissa. We really appreciate it. And we will dig in now to some questions for our esteemed experts. And the first one is, what is the real estate market like in your area? Curious to know kind of how things are being handled where you are. Is real estate seen as essential or non-essential? We've seen a mix on that. Many places considered essential, but not everywhere. And yeah, what are you seeing on your end, Marissa? We'll go to you.
Sure. Yeah, I think very similar to what I'm hearing from different places on the mainland. Lack of inventory, a little bit of fear from sellers to put their listings on the market, but there's still buyers out there. So that's causing a little bit of a bottleneck, but everybody who's in the market right now seems super, super motivated. Our agents have a little bit more time on their hands to continue to build up their skill sets in terms of technology and that sort of thing. So we're still essential. We're still busy. Our advisors are still working, but the lack of inventory is definitely causing a little bit of a bottleneck.
Thanks, Marissa. Appreciate that. And so, in this environment, I'm curious, what are some of the biggest challenges that your brokerage and your agents are facing?
I'd probably say that definitely the shift to virtual has been a bit of a challenge. Certain areas of our business, we were set up for success prior. We were heavily invested in the G Suite, the Google Suite. So we've been able to continue doing virtual webinars, and our agents and advisors are able to meet with their clients through Google Hangouts and do face-to-face touches. And that's really been innovative for their business, something that they couldn't do before. Being so isolated from different places in the world, I think that's going to be something too that's going to stick with people. So we had some of that, but the shift to virtual in terms of marketing has been heavy lifting. We really rely on the traditional marketing, so printed postcards and, you know, just still photography and that sort of thing, but it's not cutting it in today's market now. And so we're definitely seeing a lot of advisors within our brokerage, but in the market as well, really start investing heavily into different uses of, you know, 3D and video, and then how to market that as well. So social media, email, and what they can do with more interactive pieces. And it's been really exciting for me because I think that stuff's going to be long lasting and really take the level up in real estate marketing in general.
Thanks, Marissa. Appreciate that. What about you guys, Talia? What are you seeing as some really big challenges?
I think rather than viewing it as a challenge, we've really seen an opportunity to shift the way our brokers market themselves and communicate with their clients. With everyone working remotely and clients all around the world, we just now had a captive audience of brokers looking for new ways to reach out and market both themselves and their listings. So it's been really interesting to see just, you know, the nature of the beast and the time that they've had to rethink it all.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. And I like the way you're framing that. So how's your team thinking about taking advantage of this opportunity? Or, you know, some people may say handling the challenges in front of you. What are some things you're turning to?
In the past, we've really focused on broker and staff development, but we're able to incorporate more training sessions that focus more on digital communication and marketing now. And our clients are just looking at real estate differently. And we need to understand that it's not just our brokers looking at it differently, it's our clients as well. So it's things like Lucidpress, it's things like social media, the high-end video tours like Marissa mentioned, it's the Matterports that we were so lucky to have incorporated with all of our listings. We were so lucky to have that going and running already when a lot of our competitors were struggling to get that all together. So just keeping that going, keeping those strategies going is really important to our brokers, and they know that.
Thanks, Talia. Yeah, and I'm excited to announce that coming very soon, I've actually already seen it demoed, will be the Matterport embed for digital materials created through Lucidpress, which should just be helpful, we hope, for people that are doing a lot with that. And Marissa, what would you add to that? What are some specifics that you guys are doing to succeed in this environment?
Definitely, we're having a lot of trainings as well, upping our game, our base level skill set from a technology standpoint. Definitely devoting more time and trainings to social media as well. But really, it's for us, we're a slow moving ship out here. So really, it's helping our advisors make that paradigm shift to virtual, really hand holding. You know, it's kind of one step forward, 2 steps back, but really ensuring that they feel comfortable making that shift. I think just getting in front of a video is really intimidating for a lot of people, myself included. So I think, you know, it's baby steps for us out here. The market, you know, we are a little bit behind in terms of sitting at the forefront of technological innovation. So it's persuading and teaching and showing the value, but also the way that they do that with their clients, because if they're investing in marketing technologies and solutions, they need to be able to articulate the value and how that differentiates our advisors from a marketing standpoint and skill set from other people in the market here. So having these skills and tools, being able to use them, you know, they're different phases, but in the end, if we're not able to articulate that value to our end users, to our clients, we're not really making use of the technology. So I think that for us, it's getting really comfortable with this new paradigm shift, that we're spending a lot of time and energy and really trying to nurture and roll out in a good, really, really proactive way.
Yeah, piggybacking a little bit on that, Marissa, I think it's I think it's been really important to our brokers that we've been leaders in not only just getting on a Zoom call and showing them, or, you know, just training on how to do Facebook Live for open houses, but actually doing a Facebook Live for them, going in a house and actually doing it for them, walking around, getting them a little more comfortable with the camera. You know, a lot of them, it is challenging to get in front of a camera and try to, you know, be a certain way, but just telling them, you know, be yourself. This is a crazy time. We just need to get through it. But actually, like, actually putting that tool to real life for them has been really huge. It's been accepted really well.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I know when we've talked about this leading up to the webinar, you mentioned how there's a lot of new norms for people to get used to, and to remember that homeowners and prospective home buyers are also doing that they are working remotely, they're getting used to all of that. And so that's kind of an experience that you can share together. And it's been fascinating to hear you talk about how you've moved as far as the working process to a virtual environment. And I think, Talia, you said virtual period is really how business is being done. You've talked about some of the specifics like webinars. Can you talk a little bit about these other things, you know, Instagram link in bio, micro trainings that you're doing to assist, Lucidpress, other things that you're doing that are very specific to help your agents this time?
Right. You know, my biggest webinar was right after all this hit, and I wasn't going to launch Lucidpress just yet. And it was terrifying, but I had almost our entire brokerage of 200 get on that call, and they were so intrigued. And it was about an hour-long training, and I realized that's a long time. And, you know, they're still busy and they're still reaching out to clients. And so after that, we started breaking it down to these micro trainings. They could just pop on and it's pre-recorded. So we did social media trainings, Instagram, and like getting into the nitty gritty of it. And a lot of our brokers aren't very privy to technology, and we understand that, but we really got into every detail, and it took time, but it really made a huge difference in the end. And with that, when I say nitty gritty details, what is link in bio? Having them understand that you can't just put a property link in an Instagram comment, actually linking it in link in bio and then sending it to their customized property tour, and then sending it to, you know, having that viewer get to their actual custom websites just versus their Instagram page. And, you know, they really wanted to learn, and it was really cool to see these brokers latch onto this when they never have before. Going back to the nature of the beast, I think this has just been a time we need to look at those silver linings, and they've got the time and they're really interested in learning. It's been really cool.
Thanks, Talia. Appreciate it. What about you, Marissa? What are some of the specific things you all are using in this virtual environment?
Yeah, you know, just to kind of bounce off that thought a little bit, you know, from a higher level, I think really we're able to take the time now that we're a little bit slower to think about the user experience, the client's experience. So again, you know, our first thought is get the link in the Instagram comment, and it's out there and they can go to it. You can't copy it, you can't click it. Like, so I think taking the time and slowing down to understand the user experience has been something that has been so valuable and so much more, so worth the time really that we're spending on it. So when we talk about, you know, like social media in general, digital ads, that sort of stuff, you know, having a place, you know, where are we going to send the traffic? How are we going to track it? How are we going to retarget and follow up? I think those things are, we don't think about the whole user process, you know, the digital sales funnel. We think about the frontline tactics that we can do. And so slowing down and taking this opportunity to really make sure that it's a well thought out plan, it's optimized, it's easy for the user, and it's going to convert has been something that I've really been trying to promote for a while. But I'm seeing other people, I'm seeing the light in the back of their eyes, and I see that kind of that flick being the switch being flipped. So I'm really excited about that, and I think that it's going to make our marketing efforts really effective. Specifically, I definitely have seen an uptick in our brand out there in the market. So from social media, I'm seeing different elements. I'm getting emails because I'm in people's distribution groups, sort of thing. So I'm seeing our brand out there, and I'm seeing it being used in the right way, compliant. And so from us, it's really exciting, because I do know that, a lot of that's being driven out of the work that I've set up through Lucidpress. And so I'm really enjoying seeing people adopt these things, even if they're not asking me how to use it. I can tell that they're spending the time now to adopt these technologies and systems that we've had in place for a while.
Thanks, appreciate that. Now, I'm going to pull in our second poll for the audience, and I know we're a little earlier than planned on that, V, but if my team could load up that second poll for the audience, I'd love to jump to that. And here's the poll for the audience. Does your company use a software program that makes it easy for each person to create print and digital marketing pieces? No, sort of, but it's not very efficient, or yes. We'd love to get your input on that and see what you're using to make it quick and easy for everyone to create materials in this environment. And we'll give you a little bit of time to answer that. And then while you're thinking on that poll, I appreciate all the comments in the chats. It's been great to see people chiming in there. In the chat section, I wonder if you all would share as well. Part of the value of this is kind of crowdsourcing some of this information. Is what are some of the most valuable tools you found in moving to the virtual environment, whether it's a specific program or a specific application, maybe a way that you're approaching advertising in the digital realm, or any of those things. I'd love to see what people are willing to share there in the chat. And so if you want to throw those in, that will be in line with what we're going to continue talking about. And here's some of the poll results. It looks like most people, yes, do have a software program that they're using to make it easy for each person to create print and digital marketing pieces. Some are using it but not loving it, and some don't have anything at all. And for those folks, we know that's tough. Thanks again for the input on the chat, and please keep those coming. And yes, we will be sharing some materials throughout the presentation as well as we continue on. So back to our panelists, Marissa and Talia, what are your teams thinking about virtual events, and what role are they playing in what you're doing right now, and what role do you think they'll play looking forward?
Yeah, virtual events, every month we hold a sales meeting, a general sales meeting in all 3 divisions, and that's around 300 people. So I doubt that will be happening anytime in the near future, but we've obviously seen that we're all working very strongly virtually, if not stronger than before. And we're going to keep up with those sales meetings virtually. We just had one earlier in the week, and it was great. We did, some of our brokers did tours at developments that are listed on the market right now, and it all is going really well. So we're just keeping on.
Great. Thanks, Talia. What about you, Marissa?
I think that, the internal meetings are really important for us. They do get a little overwhelming because we've got so many layers of operations to our business. We've got here locally, we've got franchise level, we've got shop owner level, we've got all these different levels. And so all the virtual meetings can get a little overwhelming, but I think the ones that we take the most out of are our really intimate shop ones. So we're about 55 agents here in our shop. And so it's totally, we're accustomed to having babies on camera, dogs on camera. And it's just, for us, we're a really tight-knit group of people who've been working together for some of these agents and the owner, decades. So we're really close. And for us, that, that comfort level and checking in is really taking us to new places with our relationships. And I see people, taking leaps of their business that they might not have, even from a technological standpoint, because they feel supported and comfortable. And so some of that work that we do, the warm and fuzzy stuff, really has, peripheral effects as well. So we're really enjoying that. And for us, it's really important just to make sure that we have these regular cadence where we're seeing each other's faces, not so that we don't recognize each other, but make sure that we still have these really, really strong bonds and relationships for so many different reasons.
Thanks, Marissa. Let's talk about pivoting from print to digital. And I know, Talia, you were actually in a really interesting point in time because you actually were just in the process, like you said, of rolling out Lucidpress. And I'm curious how that's worked for you, especially with all that's going on.
Yeah, I think we were, it was challenging to launch Lucidpress to our brokerage during this time, but I think it was the best time to launch it, even though I didn't have, all the templates. I didn't have the amount of templates I wanted. I definitely, I trained heavily on digital. Our brokers are definitely more prone to traditional direct mail pieces. And, in my position for years, I've always wanted to focus more on digital. And I think this has really been the push. But, coming from our president and our exec team members, it was highly advised to slow down direct mail. It was never like you have to stop, but it was just directed, coming from our opinions, our marketing opinions, from the professionals, that a lot of people weren't going to their PO boxes at this time, or at that time. It's ramping up again, but they really took that into consideration, and they trusted us. And with that, that's how I trained on Lucidpress, and that's how I launched it. I was very particular with the way I launched it. There weren't a ton of print pieces in there. And that just got them really excited, to be honest with you. They had never seen anything like this. They're so used to just, sending out postcards and that being that. It's really cool to be able to send a client, it blew their mind that they could send a client a flyer through their CRM, their customer relations management, and that client can then be directed to their Instagram feed, their Facebook feed, their custom property website, all these links within this one document. So it just served such a bigger and greater purpose, and that really just opened them up to a lot. And they're doing things, I'm really, really proud of them. They're doing things that I didn't even train them on. So they're going above and beyond with it. And it's been really special to watch.
Now, Talia, I think we have actually some materials here that I can share with the group. Are you ready if I kind of scroll through those?
Sure, yeah, I can speak on it.
Yeah. So hopefully you're seeing it now on the screen.
Yeah, so this was kind of phase one of COVID. This was like the week that we all got sent home, and we were really, struggling with our messaging as a lot of people were. We're in the mountains, so it hit during a really busy time. It hit during our spring break. And I think if there's anyone else from mountain towns, you can agree with me on that one, that we were really expecting it to be a busy time. And we really wanted to get in front of our clients and just make them feel good. That was step one. And so I came up with all of this messaging and sent it out to our brokers, and just kind of held their hands and let them know that we were there for them. And we saw almost every single broker put out at least one of these. So that was really cool. And it really spoke, very far. And it really helped with our branding during that time and spoke to our clients.
That's great. Let's keep rolling.
Yeah. And then probably one of the first things I trained on was that 2-page interactive listing flyer, and just to show them how interactive it can be, especially sending it through a CRM to all of their clientele during that time. And then
what ways did you make it interactive, Talia? Sorry to interrupt, but what ways did you make it interactive?
Yeah, so on the back of that flyer, it's just a 2-page. On the back of it, I put in a video, which is awesome. You can play it right from the page. And I also, so we've got the video top left. This is the front.
Okay.
And video is top left, and it plays right within the screen. So it makes it very easy for the user. And then I've got a PowerPoint slideshow below, or just a slideshow, not a PowerPoint, slideshow below that just makes it a little more interactive for the user. You can just click that arrow on the right, below the video.
Yeah, there it is.
There you go. And then I've got my Facebook linked, my Instagram linked, my email linked, and our website linked. So it's really fun to play with. I mean, I think that our clients have had a lot of fun with it. I've heard great feedback on how easy it is.
And if it's all right, maybe we'll jump into this event flyer as well.
Yeah, that one's ours for an event we have this week. And so for us too, we're looking at more ways to make our pieces add value to our marketing pieces. Typically, you know, we would make this in a static JPEG. It's, you know, it would be the smallest file size, attach it to an email, send it out to our clients. And this opportunity has given us some time to step back and think about how we can add more value. So, you know, the main speaker there, he's got a hyperlink to his LinkedIn page. We've embedded all of our social media links to all of our accounts. HMSA, which is a very, very big healthcare provider, we've linked theirs as well, so added value. And then we've talked about in the future, you know, adding sort of a sizzle reel, so where the image of the family is there, you know, having an introduction to the concept, what are we going to be talking about. And so just really making things more interactive, especially, you know, video first, but, you know, being able to cross-sell and have more effect with our brand, really push our brand across these pieces. And then, you know, as a result, the more traffic we get to our website, the higher the SEO ranking, all these effects that are really beneficial to our business and our marketing plans, you know, behind the scenes in terms of pixels and tracking and all that sort of stuff. It really adds another level and really boost the engine forward. But I love what Talia's doing with her property brochures. I think I gotta go spend some time looking at ours after this call.
No, it's really fun to play around with.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, will you walk us through this one, Talia?
Yeah, so you know, we have a nice listing presentation, obviously, that our brokers flip through with sellers at listing presentations, but that's not necessarily happening right now. So I just kind of whipped up a custom listing presentation for our brokers to send out as one piece versus like all of these email attachments, which I've seen before, like CMA reports and a broker bio. So I've kind of just added them all in one spot, and brokers can delete pages, add pages to it. There's a page templates section and within a Lucidpress template, which is really cool, where I can add a branded page. So they're not just adding this like blank page, they're adding a branded page that they can add to. And this one, I've just added in-house printed materials that a client can click on, and it brings you to an issue link, and then they can flip through it. So this is our winter luxury collection. This is listings over 4 million. And it just allows the user, it's one piece that's really fluid.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I'm just going to keep going through this.
Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah.
A CMA template, you know, it's really simple and easy, and it's just something that was needed during this time.
That's really powerful stuff. Thank you. I can see some comments coming in. Yeah, so there's a question about the branded page template within a document. Can you explain that a little bit more, Talia?
Yeah, I wish I could get in and show you, but so once you're in a Lucidpress template, once you're in your template working on it, on the left-hand side, there's a little icon that looks like a page. And if you click on that page icon, then you can add a branded template page and lock down those features. So basically, like if I wanted to put in a branded page template, I could lock that footer. I could lock that logo at the top, and they could just add that branded template in and then add any content they want to the page. So it's still branded, but I'm allowing them to add the content that they would like in there if I haven't provided it.
Nice.
Great, thanks. I think we're going to go ahead and jump now into our third poll. If my team could pull that up on the importance of brand. And the question is, are you and your team members able to keep your brand consistent across all forms of content? No, it's a constant struggle. It's okay. We see occasional rogue content, we're very strict about branding. Curious for how you're handling this. And while we're having those poll results roll in, Talia and Marissa, how are you thinking about brand consistency in a time of crisis? And what are you doing to try to make sure you have your hands around that?
I mean, Lucidpress has helped tremendously. I'm not, trying to make a huge sales pitch. It really has helped tremendously. It's something, it's kind of the link we were missing, to be honest with you. We're not a regional, we're not a national brand. We are Colorado, maybe one day national, who knows? But we are Colorado, and we're 200 brokers. And, in the past, we've really kind of been lax with our brokers, allowing them to stand out in their own way. But ever since I've come on as brand manager, you lose sight of that brand if you allow it to get out of hand. And I think that Lucidpress allows just enough locking capabilities to let brokers stand out still, right? So that's what we were missing. And honestly, it's made my job so much easier, and our brokers are so much happier. They just feel more consistent, and it just makes more sense to them.
Thanks, Talia. What about you, Marissa?
Yeah, I agree. I think that for us, part of the value, a huge portion of the value to being part of an international franchise is the brand and the strength that comes with that. Our brand is very particular, white, red, black, like very, very well thought out, well researched, and quite frankly, well funded. So any, skew of that, it not only reflects on us locally as a shop, but it reflects on us nationally, internationally. We have a responsibility as part of our franchise to uphold that brand that's been built, so long before us. So it's incredibly important that we respect that. But for us, coming from a smaller mom and pop shop with nothing, people got used to finagling and putting together whatever they needed in whatever fashion and form they could. So when we switched over to a franchise 2 years ago, it almost went too restrictive. So then we were in that position where, it was kind of lose-lose. So for us, Lucidpress was exactly the particular system that we needed. So, when we're talking about locking different features within a template, you're right, Talia. It not only satisfies the brand and the operations and the senior staff that who are accountable for that, but I think it allows the advisors who are using it from a Frontline a more comfortable place, because they know, okay, I can't screw this up. I'm not going to get in trouble. I'm not going to get grounded. Right. So I think that for us, it makes the relationship between, staff and advisors who really, we do have the same goal is to put out pieces that, sell our listings and make us look good. I think it really eases that tension and makes people feel comfortable supported, and allows them a bit of freedom, but freedom with a leash. So I think that it's been a miracle for us, because we love our brand, but we don't always know how to execute it without going too far. So this allows a little bit of that control, and we're just really excited to use it.
I agree. I feel like a lot of our brokers, at least, kind of want to do it themselves, which is awesome. But not everyone's a designer, and that's okay. And it's so easy for them, and they get this piece, and they're like, oh my God, I did this. And it's really, they get really excited, and I'm like, you did do it. Like, that's all you do.
It is super exciting, because we spend so much time setting up this program, becoming the experts at the back end of this program, and but I understand that frontline advisors and brokers, it might not be their top priorities, but to see them pick up technology and use it in ways that I never really even crossed my mind is very inspiring, and makes me feel like I'm doing justice to our brokerage as well.
Thanks to you both for sharing all of that. We will have some time for questions for our panelists as well. And so if you want to start sending any of those in via chat or Q&A, I saw one came in for Talia about some of what she built there, and I think that Bree has answered that. But please do continue sending those in. The Q&A now is showing up for me, and the chats as well will be monitoring. But I just wanted to, before we move to that, ask you, Talia and Marissa, we have some, like you said, frontline advisors or brokers or agents that have joined us for this. And I know you're in regular touch with those folks in your own organizations. I'm curious, what would you say to those that have joined, that are trying to glean a few things here for what they can do in their organization? And I know it's hard when you don't know exactly what their technology stack is and some of the particulars, but what would you say to somebody who's on the front lines right now?
I think I would say, if your teams are putting a lot of those trainings out there, I know it can be intimidating. Like, I get intimidated sometimes with what my team is doing, and I work with them every day, but I think it's really important to just take that time to see what kind of tools they're offering you, because they're probably the best tools out there, and they're really informative, and they're just top notch. And if you just take that time to really divulge and jump into that, I think it'll be well worth it.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think for us, we really leverage worldwide expertise. And so, what we have, really is best in class. And what we were missing, we were able to fill that with Lucidpress. So I think that, I'm so confident in our technology and systems suite that we have within our brokerage, that I think that, just trusting it and trusting the process, and, committing to the learning curve, which I understand is not always comfortable, but, these systems that we have, Lucidpress is so easy to, once you understand, the basics, so easy to use, and really hard to break. So I think that for frontline advisors, really the sky's the limit. So I think once you get up to par, I think there's so much that you can do. I think it's just really taking that plunge and committing to your profession and being an innovator that really is important at this time.
And consistency is still key, even with digital. Same as print, just be as consistent as possible.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you. It's great input. And it reminds me of some that we shared in a prior webinar with Workman Success Solutions, a coach for folks on the front line. And I know we'll be doing another webinar again in the future for those people that would be interested in hearing more on that topic. So let's talk about how you might address your peers. There's this interesting collegiality that I've noticed among people who are in your role, who are kind of fighting the good fight as far as keeping the brand consistent and helping to make sure that all of your brokers, advisors, agents are growing the business. And so what would you say to your peers? Is there anything that we haven't touched on here that you'd say is maybe an encouragement or advice for those that are fighting through some of the same things you are?
I think it's definitely hard because, again, you know, being the brand police is never fun. It's super painful. And you never, you know, really, in the end, what we want is to promote our brand, promote our listings, sell our listings. But in order to do that, you know, we have to take a step back and really understand the value of a brand. And, you know, when the brand is being applied in different ways, it really gets watered down. It loses its effectiveness. When somebody sees it, you know, sees the brand, you know, the initial impact that we work so hard to create in terms of messaging and consistency and standards, you know, it might have a different feeling to every user depending on what their experience has been. So I say, don't give up. We're all in this together. You know, really commit to a brand, the vision. I think it's really important to remind frontline users of a brand, the importance, why you have to be so diligent in terms of, you know, keeping standards, keeping messages consistent, being just very considerate in the way that you use the brand. You know, I think that if you remind them and if you talk through why those things are important, I think that the conversations down the road when people have gone rogue are a little bit easier. But I think for your sake, for your own sanity, setting yourself up so that end users have a way to flex their creativity within these, you know, certain restrictions, you know, really makes it a lot easier for you and will help you avoid some of those conversations and situations by setting parameters in terms of what people can and can't do with your brand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got, I feel a lot of my brokers are visual, and I've gone so far as past brand trainings to just bring to the table what not to do. And they're like, oh gosh, yeah, that looks way better than that. And, and they're like, no, this makes total sense. And just seeing like what could be done. And that's why I love Lucidpress, because it's like, okay, here's a template that you can make into this, right? It doesn't have to look like this. It looks similar, but it can be made into something else. And to just keep training on that, I think gets through to brokers, at least our brokers for sure.
Well, really appreciate that. Before I got into software, I actually built and sold a marketing agency. And so I ran that for 5 years and spent a lot of time thinking about brand and that. And a few things that always stuck with me are these phrases. One is that marketing is the truth of you translated into the language of your audience. And so I think about that a lot as in the work that you're doing, because I think that in your cases, you have very strong brands. And many of the folks that I know that are on the line as well here with us do too. And so I think remembering what that truth is and then finding a way to translate that into these new touch points is really what a lot of us are facing. And I love this other quote from Eisner, the former CEO of Disney, who said, a brand is a living entity and it is enriched or undermined cumulatively over time, the product of 1,000 small gestures. And you all and so many of the people that are joining us here have such a responsibility. It's a tough job to try to make sure that we get the majority of those 1,000 small gestures right. And so I applaud you for what you're doing. And our commitment at Lucidpress is to do everything we can to help you to be successful in that, because we know how much it means as far as, you know, yes, just keeping your brand consistent, but that's not an end goal. That's a means to an end, which is to have people feel something when they come in contact with someone that's connected with your brand, and to have them feeling something that leads to action and to business results. And I've seen that time and again when people do it right. And I applaud you, Marissa and Talia, for being such a good example of that. And I know your organizations are in really good hands because of what you're doing. And I really appreciate all that you've shared. I see something coming through in the chat. There's some nice comments there from Chantel. Appreciate that. And I'd open it up for any questions that folks have. I would just find it kind of a final touch point there with you, Talia and Marissa. Is there anything that we didn't cover that you feel like might be helpful that you'd like the audience to know before we get ready to wrap up here? And we've got our DoorDash winners too. We can't forget that.
I think that for me, one change that I've been making, you know, I'm always somebody who likes to write down a plan before I put things into action. And I think, you know, the one thing I can recommend that I've started to do is now, you know, when I'm looking at a marketing piece, I'm looking for opportunities to add more value through it, make things more interactive, and come to my marketing pieces from a cross-selling standpoint. What else can this marketing piece do for me than just show a picture of a listing or show the logo of our brand? So I think, you know, my one last little piece of advice is sit down with a blank piece of paper and think, and, you know, put your thoughts down before you start. And maybe everybody's different, but for me, that's really where I'm coming from, is before I'm starting to, you know, log in, I'm really thinking about what I can do more and over and above with my marketing pieces now that we've got more of a digital footprint and priority. So I'm inspired by that, and so if anybody, you know, wants a soundboard on that, I'm super excited about that.
Yeah, I agree. I think a big thing for me with this whole time and launching Lucidpress is I've really listened to my brokers, what they've needed. I'm not a broker, so for the marketers on the call, you know, I've created certain templates, and a broker might turn it into something else. It's still within our brand, but, you know, maybe getting out more market reports and setting up templates like that. You know, what are they in need of right now? So just hearing them, and not just doing everything I want to do, but really getting in their heads and getting on one-on-one calls with them and feeling out the market and what are your clients doing? Are they coming here? Like, just feeling it out as much as you possibly can will just help make your brand and your Lucidpress brand a lot stronger.
Thank you, Talia. Really, really appreciate all of the great input from both of you. You've done an awesome job, and thank you for all the effort you put into preparing for this. We'll be sending a follow-up email out to the attendees that has a lot of this material in it and some other references that may be useful for you. So thank you all who joined. Let's go ahead and do the DoorDash giveaway. If there is a drum roll in your head, that's good, because that's too. And let's see, the names are Barbara Hughes and Lydia Holcomb. I don't know if I'm saying that quite right, but congratulations to the winners. Yes, we'll be sending those out your way. We'll be reaching out to you to connect and get those delivered. Thank you for joining us. And we have another webinar that we'd like to invite you to coming up in the not too distant future here on the 3rd of June, which is the 9 most common templating mistakes that organizations make. So if you're working on this, Garrett, who heads up our marketing here at Lucidpress, will be talking about that. And you know, really appreciate all of the questions throughout that folks have sent in. Again, we'll be following up with some materials which hopefully help answer any other questions you have. And I just want to say thank you. I know that people are really pushing hard through this, and there's a lot of opportunity in this time of crisis. We know that, and I'm sending my best wishes to you. If there are things that we can do at Lucidpress to help you, please reach out. Please know that our team, you've got a lot of them on the line here that some of you know, like Bree and others that you work with, are working very hard. I must say we're very fortunate and grateful that we were able to raise another round of $52 million of funding at Lucid Software here not too long ago to continue building the products that we are to make things as easy and as smooth as possible in your work. We're committed to that. We're putting all of our talent and resources to it, and we think you're awesome, and we're wishing you a great week. With that, we'll sign off. Thanks, everybody.
Bye, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a good week.